Now that you've watched the video, you know that Frida and Diego are married and that they are artists. This first painting is by Diego. And when we're looking at this, we want to answer the question, describe the exaggerated aspects of this painting. What seems to stand out? So when I'm looking at this painting, I see that he has all of these flowers on his back, and then he may be selling them to the people in the front. I noticed right away that these flowers are pretty large. Like the flower is as big as his head. And it spans like this whole back. These are all the flowers. So these are exaggerated, the size of the lilies, but I would also say that the size of the people are kind of exaggerated. Everything is a little bigger than what we would expect it to be. Because if we go down to some of the other paintings, they're very proportional. The people look as though they would look in person. So this is actually by Diego here. And if you contrast this picture with the one up here, you can see how rounded everything is, how rounded the people are, and that everything is kind of a little larger than you would expect it. So I'm going to say that everything is exaggerated in size. I'm going to say the size of everything is exaggerated. But I'm going to include that information that I first, looking at the picture, the thing that stands out the most is the size of the lilies. Okay. I have one more question about this painting here. Write a caption for this painting that describes the characters in the scene. So I said earlier that maybe he is bringing these for the other people in the market to purchase. So I could call my painting something like "Man sells lilies to people at the market." Anything you can come up with based on the picture itself. I did give you the name as Flower Day, but what could you write about what's happening in the picture? Okay, the next picture that we're going to look at is an actual picture, a photograph. So here I want to compare and contrast Riviera and Callow's clothing. So remember, Riviera is Diego, the man, and Callow is Frida, the woman. So what I'm looking at in here is I want to compare, so I want to say something is similar, and I also want to say something is different. So if I'm thinking about something that is similar, I noticed that their clothing is not something that I would wear around the house, right? It's not something that I'm currently wearing around the house, sure. It's kind of like those memes of all those people who are dressed up to go to the grocery store right now because they have nothing else to do. They don't get to go out in public. So I would say that their clothes are kind of fancy or formal. So that's my comparison. You could also say something like, their clothes are not something that I would wear around the house, or their clothes are something that I would wear to a nice event. So the next thing we want to do is contrast them. So looking at the two outfits, how are they different? I'm going to let you fill that in. You might want to think about not just that one is wearing a suit and one is wearing a dress, but what is the pattern or design of it? Does it seem normal or eccentric to wear to an event? What kind of event do they look like they're going to? Things like that when you're writing how they're different. And then we're going to practice again writing a caption for this photo. So give me one sentence telling me what these people are doing in the photo or what they look like in the photo. Do they look happy? Do they look like they're going to something important? What do you think is happening here? The next picture that we have is of Diego. He is sketching out what he will later paint. So when we're looking at this, we have both the work that he is doing and also a photograph of him. So there's kind of two parts of the picture here. First, we're going to look at what the expressions of the faces he's sketching are. Do we think that they're happy, sad, angry, serious, mad, excited? What kind of expression do they have here? And you're going to type that under here. So you could use the sentence starter. The people Diego Rivera is sketching seem blank. And then tell me how they seem. Does anything about the way Rivera's work surprise you? Explain your thinking. So here you could say, okay, well, I'm going to look at how he's positioned in the picture. So the fact that he's on the scaffold high up, it seems, and sketching on the side of a building, does that surprise you? Or the other side could be about the work itself. So what would surprise you if someone is taking this much time to sketch out something that's going to be covered up in paint? Does that seem kind of odd to you? Do you think that they might sketch a little more rigid like this, a little less detail, and then go in with the colors and paint it? Or do you think that it's normal to have this much detail in a face before you put paint on it? So again, you can look at either how he's positioned and how he's actually working physically, or what the painting looks like in the process of how he is operating. So here you could say, what surprises me about how Rivera works is that, and then fill in your sentence. Okay, the next picture that we have is painted by Frida. My question here is on top of the painting. Describe the setting. So when I'm looking at this picture, when I think of setting, I'm thinking about where did this happen, what maybe is happening in the picture, and when did this happen? Can I tell any of those things? So I'm looking here in the background for any details that tell me where she painted herself, and I'm going to answer that underneath. The setting of the painting is in, and fill in the blank with your sentence. The next question, read the title of the painting. Why might Callow have wanted to draw the viewer's attention to the necklace and the hummingbird? What might they represent? So when we look back up the title, it's self-portrait. So a self-portrait is a picture that someone paints of themselves with a thorn necklace and hummingbird. So she doesn't just say self-portrait of Frida Callow. She says self-portrait with, and she gives us a very distinct description of what she wants us to look for in the painting. So our question says, what might she be drawing your attention to? And then what might they represent? So she says the thorn necklace. If I'm looking at this necklace, I think, does this look like it's comfortable? Is this like a normal necklace someone would wear? And obviously if it's thorns, we know that thorns could be on other plants and could potentially hurt you. And I can see here, if I look very closely, that she's actually bleeding from this necklace. So maybe she's in pain. So that was going to be the first part of my idea, is that this thorn necklace is causing her some type of pain, or she's in pain. But then I noticed this hummingbird. And if I get really close to this hummingbird, I can see that there's a knot here, and that the hummingbird is kind of trying to undo the knot. So what might she be telling us about the hummingbird or about nature? What does it have the ability to do for people? If the hummingbird is undoing this thorn necklace, what might nature be able to do, or how might it be able to help people? So that's the end of the main lesson. As you can see here, I have all of the points out for you, so you know exactly how much everything is worth. This last question is worth 25 points. This is just like when we would get to the end of an Amplify lesson and have to write 120 words. This is our assessment. Did we reach our objective? And our writing here should be quite lengthy. Now, I have included some sentence starters, and it says choose one or two. Please do not use all of these. Only use them for what you need or what you're looking for in the picture. So compare the feeling you get from Flower Day, remember that's over here on the right, to the feeling that you get from the self-portrait with the thorn necklace. Refer to two elements in each painting, the color, depiction of humans, or the nature imagery. So both of them have some bright colors. Both of them have nature. He has the flowers and she has all of this nature back here. The humans, right? So we have her and the thorn necklace, and we have him with this flower on his back. That seems maybe kind of quite heavy. So you are going to explain how it generates the feeling. So how do you feel looking at this picture versus how do you look here? It can be a similar feeling or it can be a different feeling. So you're going to say, I feel blank from the flower by Diego because why? And give me a reason. What specific part of the painting gave you that feeling? And the same thing with Frida. Give me what made you feel that way and why. A great place to go back to this painting is these last two questions here, because you did a lot of work in thinking about what is going on with this thorn necklace and what's the bird's part in this. Why is she in the jungle in the first place? Okay, again, this should be 120 words. It should be a very sound paragraph with evidence from both paintings. Give me specific details from the